What is the difference between Moon Jae-in's corona quarantine measures and President-elect Yoon Seok-yeol's corona quarantine measures? The reality of corona K quarantine that Moon Jae-in boasted was an international fraud. In the end, I don't know what's different from other countries except that only the time when the number of confirmed cases exploded after the presidential election was different. In the end, I don't think it's just the self-employed and the medical staff. Citizens cannot hide their dismay at the news that the cumulative number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Korea has surpassed 10 million. This is because the situation of giving up freedom for the success of K-quarantine for the past 2 years has become meaningless. Naturally, the voice of criticism against K-quarantine is growing. According to the World Health Organization on the 23rd, from the 7th to the 13th, the number of confirmed cases per 1 million people in Korea reached 42,590, ranking first in the world. On the other hand, the number of confirmed cases per 1 million in the United States, the world's number one cumulative number of cases, was only 765. Park, an office worker, said, "In the meantime, citizens have returned their freedom and cooperated with quarantine policies while using quarantine passes or social distancing, but it feels like the government has given up on the quarantine policy after Omicron. The number of self-employed people is increasing, but I don't know what the meaning of what I've been doing so far is." University student Kim Joo-won, who was diagnosed with the Omicron mutation and recovered, said, "I didn't even go to the freshman orientation, and I don't have many memories of the so-called good days that adults say. I lost confidence in the quarantine policy when I saw that it arrived after 4 days." Self-employed people reacted more violently. Choi, who runs a restaurant in Gwangjin-gu, Seoul, said, "In the end, it is a quarantine policy that killed only the self-employed. If it was, what would you do?" He criticized the government. Oh, who runs an indoor sports facility in Seok-yeol, Seoul, said, "It was very difficult because a lot of members quit when showers were prohibited and the time limit was 9 p.m. When I saw it, it felt like my blood was gushing upside down." Some people raised doubts about political quarantine. Cho, an office worker, expressed concern, saying, "The quarantine policy seems to have loosened up after the presidential election and put their hands away." Mr. Kim, an office worker, also pointed out, "I thought it was a political quarantine when I saw the removal of social distancing ahead of the election and the payment of 3 million won to small businesses." Yoon Seok-yeol's K-quarantine changes like this. The Presidential Transition Committee for President-elect Yoon Seok-yeol is reviewing measures to ease the measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus in large numbers after the new government takes office in May. It is predicted that restrictions on business hours for small business owners as well as restrictions on the number of people at private gatherings may be lifted. On the 23rd, an official from the Corona Emergency Response Committee under the Transition Committee said, "The measure of distancing has been done so confusingly that I do not know how many times it has been changed in the past 2 years. I think it's right to take measures to the point where it's going to hurt," he said. On the 21st, the Coronavirus Special Committee held its first meeting at the Transition Committee in Tungidong, Seoul, presided over by Ahn Cheol-soo, chairman of the Transition Committee, and discussed the corona prevention system and ways to secure oral treatment. At this meeting, it is reported that the current government's quarantine measures were evaluated and discussions about the direction of the new government's quarantine measures were held. An official who attended the meeting at the time said, "If you look at the current corona trend, I think that all social distancing measures such as business restrictions can be removed immediately after the new government is launched." He explained. In the case of the UK, on February 24, all statutory quarantine measures were lifted, including the duty to wear an indoor mask, the recommendation to work from home, and self-quarantine and free tests for confirmed patients. If we go to the UK, of course, restrictions on the number of people at private gatherings will disappear, the official said. An expert, who requested anonymity, said, "There is even talk of the collapse of the medical system in the field, but in fact, easing the quarantine policy at this point is giving the people the wrong message. In a situation where people come out one by one, it is impossible to evaluate K-quarantine as a success, he said. Thank you for watching today. Please like and subscribe.